Welcome to Tunisia, a country bursting with history, culture and jaw-dropping landscapes. In this video, I'll be taking you through the ultimate guide to exploring Tunisia and everything from the vibrant capital Tunis to the serene beauty of Sidi Boy Said, the historic Berber villages of Takrouna and Zibra Olia, and even iconic filming locations like Ksar Hadada from Star Wars. I'll also share practical tips on how you can book all these experiences and some logistics and things you must do when traveling this country. And just to give you guys some context on myself, if it's the first time watching, my name is Yad and I'm originally from the UK, and I traveled around Tunisia for roughly around 2 weeks with my family, and we visited a lot of beautiful places. And for the guys that are currently watching, that have been watching the previous videos, I have still got some more Tunisia videos coming after this one, and a very interesting adventure that happened over in Hammamet, so stay tuned for that one. But today we're going to cover 23 best things to see and do when people are visiting this beautiful country of Tunisia. So let's get the adventure started. So firstly, I'll start off with some practical tips for anybody that's visiting Tunisia. We can start off by taking money out in ATMs. ATMs are really easy to find in most cities, and they're usually the best way to get cash at a good exchange rate. Personally for me, I use somebody called Revolut, and I think a lot of people from the UK probably have heard of that or have got a similar setup, and they typically give a very good exchange rate. When I was withdrawing money in Tunisia, it was costing me roughly just over £1 I think it was like £1.30 or £1.40, something like that. So I always tried to take out a bulk amount if I needed it. And in terms of money, if places take card or cash, in the markets in the Medinas, you're probably going to need to have some cash with you. But when you're shopping outside, just general kind of groceries and that type of stuff, you can pay by card in most places. But there are some, let's say like corner shops, that still prefer just to take cash. So I would always keep a little bit of cash with you, but you don't need too much. And when it comes to renting cars or just getting about in general, there are cab services and there are taxis that you can take from the airport and these type of things. However, one thing that we did when we were there, we actually rented a car, which we found being very, very helpful. If you're wondering about how to rent a car here in Tunisia, we used a company called Discover Cars, which basically allow you to search their website to get the best deal possible. And then we ended up getting this Honda here for a really affordable price. It was super easy to go on discovercars.com. We literally just went online and checked what was the best option available and what car was suitable for us. And it's so great because the people that actually came to give us the car, they met us at the airport and they brought us exactly to the place where you can pick up the car, which is very, very convenient, because especially when you travel, the last thing you want to do is look around for the car rental place. But there's all instructions there, everything is there, and it tells you how to get your car picked up as well. So I highly recommend checking them out, and check the description box below to get your unique deal, and use the link in the description and in the pinned comment to check out what deals that you can get in Tunisia and also around the world. Next will be renting Airbnb versus hotel. We actually stayed in a Airbnb apartment, and it's something that we've been doing quite a lot now on our travels. And in all honesty, Tunisia offers quite a great value for accommodations. We've stayed in both Airbnbs and hotels around the world, but I personally feel like Airbnb gives you a local vibe, while hotel kind of just offers its comfort and amenities. And personally with us, we like to cook our own food sometimes. Well, actually most of the time, especially because we have a baby, so it's just a little bit easier for us. And if you're wondering about internet and how to stay connected whilst you're there, to be honest, I no longer buy SIM cards at the airport because it's just a nightmare. When you get off a flight, last thing you want to do is get into another queue and just wait to pass over your passport and then give all your personal details again and then wait to get a SIM card. It's just such a lengthy thing that I just don't add to my trips anymore. So what I do, I use a eSIM. You guys have probably seen the eSIM that I've been using in all my videos. I always talk about it because it's really beneficial. So if you guys wanted to get an eSIM, I highly recommend doing that, because you can just have it set up as soon as before you even land. So as soon as you land, you just connect it and that's it, bam, you've got the internet. So if you guys wanted to check that out as well, I'll leave those details in the description box for you guys to get a discount on that as well. And Safety, that's something I wanted to touch on quite early in this video. A lot of people before we visited the country said that be careful, Tunisia can be dangerous because of what happened previously with the tourism industry and how that really heavily got affected by what basically happened quite a number of years ago. But honestly, the 2 weeks that we were there, we didn't feel any way unsafe. People are so friendly, very hospitable, always willing to help if you need something, and 50% of the time people spoke English, the other 50% of the time they didn't, but we always managed to get around, or wherever we needed we can just use Google Maps or things like that, or just check online. So it wasn't kind of an area that we felt that we was worried about our safety. I mean, we walked around in the evenings, walked around in the daytime, and comparing the both, I didn't really feel like at night was more dangerous. But just like any country around the world, I would always just be aware of your surroundings. Don't obviously, you know, flash things around late at night. But personally, honestly, when we were in the Medina area where it was very busy, very hectic, we didn't feel like, oh, maybe somebody will try to do something or anything along those lines. If anything, we felt very at ease because people were so chilled. They were just sitting back, relaxing, having their Tunisian teas, and just very vibey people. People have got good vibes in the country, especially the city of Tunis. Now we will jump into the best 23 things to do when you guys visit the country. None of these are in particular order, so make sure you stick around to the end of these 23 things to make sure you don't miss out on any of them. But firstly, we will start off with the Tunis Medina. And honestly, it's like stepping into the heart of the country. You get lost in the vibrant areas, from the narrow alleyways to all the lively markets. It's probably one of my favorite Medinas around the world I've visited, mainly because of how relaxed the culture and people are. We love how there was no one really pressuring us to get into their shops, which was honestly very nice. People were just super chilled out. They were like, you know, can come in if you want type of thing. It was not like, oh, come and buy this, trying to kind of really push you to get into their shops, which... Whilst you are in the Medina, check out a place called Fondouk El Attarine Restaurant. It's basically a historic hotel that now serves as a cultural hub. It's perfect for a glimpse into the city's heritage, and honestly, a mind-blowing place to have some food, and I'm not exaggerating here. We had some couscous with beef and lamb, and honestly, it was one of the best meals I've had for a very long time. Honestly, as I say, I'm not exaggerating. We also had this dessert, which was this hazelnut dessert. Tasted a little bit like Ferrero Rocher. So creamy and delicious. And why I also really want to recommend this place is because the price we paid for the amount of food that we had was honestly just crazy. It was roughly around 20 British pounds for all of this. I would almost call it like a luxury dish, because it was such a beautiful setting and a it looked high end to me. Like I thought it was very presented, very nice. The restaurant was very classy, full of tourists from around the world, and I honestly was expecting a higher bill. I thought maybe it's going to cost around 50-60 British pound at least, that's minimum. So when I saw the bill come back at 20, I was like, whoa, hold on. So head there, guys, when you are in Tunis the Medina. And whilst we are on the Medina topic, we will touch on shopping in the Medina. It's basically a place where you'll find handcraft goods, spices, souvenirs, and bargaining is part of the culture, guys. So don't feel like you can't bargain. However, there's one thing I will say about the Tunisian markets. I felt that the prices were really reasonable, that I honestly didn't want to bargain when we were buying, for example, a Tunisian style hat and a local outfit for our daughter. And honestly, this was super nice, because there are some times where I've been in like Morocco, for example, and they honestly exaggerate the price so much for such a basic thing, and it's so obvious that they do it and, you know, put the tourist tax on there. But honestly, in the capital, Tunis, when we were looking around for things to buy, everything was just so reasonable. Like, I think the hat was like £2, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna negotiate. But I did just a little bit as a joke, you know, for the sake of the video. But again, they were still willing to bring it down a little bit. So I'm sure it's probably costing like 80 pence and they're charging £2. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, these guys are, it's nice for them to get some tourism and support them. So I don't mind paying like £1 more. And one thing you have to put aside for when you are in the Medina is drinking tea inside the Medina. Whilst you walk around the Medina, you'll find these narrow alleyways where you can walk inside, which have all these cozy tea cafes. It's a lovely vibe where locals chill, hang out, and you'll get a real sense of the local vibe when you're there. but they're little cute cafes with these small chairs and tables, and they play Tunisian music. It really gives you that local vibe whilst you're there. And also when you're there, I'm not sure if they serve it, but they probably do, because we had it in Sidi Boy Said. Ask them for the Tunisian tea with almonds inside, because that's how Tunisian people drink their tea. I'll touch on that a little bit later as well in this video. Whilst you're running around the Medina, head over to a place called Slimania Madrassa. This is basically a stunning historical school which showcases the intricate craftsmanship of Islamic architecture. And when we were there was an art exhibition of local artists showing their work, which was honestly really nice. And also, if you wanted to get those Instagram worthy photos, it has a beautiful archway design that will make those great shots. And whilst you're on the cultural tour, head over to Zaytuna Mosque. It's a beautiful spot, but remember, wear modest attire, because unfortunately when we were there, my fault, we couldn't enter because I was wearing shorts. So plan accordingly and make sure you either take some long trousers with you, because obviously it might be quite hot. You don't want to be walking around in long trousers. Give you that tip before you guys visit. Also for the ladies need to cover their hair, because there's some places around the world when you visit the religious sites that they will actually give you something to cover around the legs or the hair, but fortunately they didn't have it there. So, and also this is the oldest mosque in the whole of Tunis. Next, head over to Avenue Habib Bourguiba. Hopefully I've said that right. You can stroll along this iconic avenue lined with cafes, shops and historical buildings. I would probably compare this to a street almost like the Oxford Street of London, with loads of high street shops and nice cafes where people are hanging out in the day and the evening. So if you fancied to get out of the Medina area and wanted to check that area out, there's plenty of nice little cafes where you can just plop for like an hour or so, have a cappuccino, have a Tunisian tea or even a dessert, and just do a little bit of people watching, because there's a lot of people that go by, and it's a nice little street, one of the most iconic places in Tunis, the capital. When you probably search online on things to do, that's probably one of the most iconic areas to check out when you're in the country. If you fancy something a little bit more on the trendy and I would say fancy side, head over to the area of Marsa and stop by a cafeteria called Saint-Tropez. It will basically, you can treat yourself to the famous Dior style coffee that they have. It's a chic experience. They've also got a brunch menu where you can get some delicious croissants and tasty desserts. Honestly, it was a very nice experience, because I didn't know that Tunisia had these type of like really trendy and almost like luxury type of vibe. So when we were in the Marsa area, we actually looked around and had a little bit of a walk, and there's plenty of cafes that all very similar to this. So Tunisian people have definitely got the eye for these beautiful cafes and nice areas. I really loved it. Now, if you fancy a beach in the capital, I'd recommend heading over to Tunis Beach. This is their local beach. It's a lovely area where you can take a stroll and soak in that Mediterranean Sea. It really is a beautiful area with cafes and restaurants spread all across the strip. There's many different restaurants you can choose from. Honestly, I loved even the architecture around there. I mentioned a lot in the vlogs that it was like Roman architecture, but a lot of you guys, well, the local Tunisians in the comments were basically saying that no, this is not Roman, it's like Carthage or Tunisian architecture. So it's honestly really beautiful. There's this area where they've got these like colourful stairs and this beautifully designed side strip on there, and just the buildings and everything, something very special about the country. And this is why I honestly feel like the country is so underrated, because not enough people are talking about the beautiful side of it. And I think more light needs to be shone on these specific things about the country. If you fancy doing some shopping, then head over to one of the famous malls in the country, which is Tunis Mall. They've got a grocery store in there called Carrefour to get all your food like fish, meat, vegetables, fruit. And honestly, one thing I have to say, from all the countries I've ever visited around the world, the food was the cheapest ever when it comes to groceries in Tunisia. And it was just amazing. You could spend £20 and I would leave with, like, I would say almost a kg of mincemeat and 2 fishes and some breakfast food. So £20 in the UK would be lucky to get you a little bit of yogurt and some bread in London, for example. So it was just so pleasant to be able to not spend ridiculous amounts on groceries. And because we stayed in an Airbnb, we was always going to Carrefour and getting some bits. Also, when you're in Tunis Mall, they've got other shops like Zara, Pull & Bear, and kind of your more high street shops. So if you wanted to do a little bit of shopping, you can do that as well. once you are in the area of Tunis Mall, the area that we got our Airbnb in, it was called Limak 2. And this is basically a modern and laid back vibe. You can check out this area with trendy cafes. Again, this is another area for you to check out if you wanted something different from kind of the old Medina and some of the things that most tourists do. If you wanted something a little bit more laid back and wanted to have some, let's say, shisha or coffee or just even a cappuccino, we went to a cafe there called Zanzibar, which was quite a nice little cafe. But something I have to say that in a lot of places in Tunisia, which they're still doing, is they still smoke inside a lot of the cafes, which is a little bit annoying because, you know, if you're traveling and you're not really a smoker, you don't really want to be sitting in a cafe where it's like a lot of cigarettes around you. But I guess it's like that in some countries, but just a kind of a pre-warning for you guys, whoever's going, so you're not shocked when you get there. Can't leave Tunisia without actually going to Carthage. The archaeological sites are scattered but absolutely worth the trip. We was blown away by the amount of ruins that were left in the country, and I honestly did not know there was that much history in the country of Tunisia or even Africa. Who would have thought that the Romans had such a big imprint in that part of the world? And when we were there, it was just mind-blowing to see some of the beautiful architecture that the Romans had built back then, and you could still see some of the designs on the stones and everything, which was so impressive. And we didn't even manage to touch even close to half of it. We just did a couple of the areas because unfortunately we just didn't have enough time. But one thing I do want to mention is that once you buy your ticket, it gives you access to all of the Carthage ruins, and I believe there was roughly over 10 of them which you could see. Now, this is the part which excites me a lot as well, because this is one of the most beautiful parts of the country, and it's the Sidi Boy Said area, which is that incredible blue and white town. We'll start off with Sidi Boy Said Medina. This is basically the charming blue and white paradise, perfect for wandering around and soaking up the views and getting all those Instagram shots that I'm sure a lot of people would love to do. And honestly, the best way to describe this place is like a fairy tale of North Africa. The pictures honestly don't do it any justice. It's so much better when you're actually there in person. The intricate details across the streets and buildings are so beautiful. You could walk around for hours and just literally just soak it all in and just look at each corner and take a picture, because it's something that you're going to want to take away with you as a memory of Tunisia. When you are in Sidi Boy Said, you're going to want to check out a place called Maison du Baron. It's also known as the Palace of Baron de Berengier, and he's the person which basically designed the Sidi Boy Said area and the colours and the architecture. And this was actually constructed between 1912 and 1922 by French-born Baron Rudolphe de Berengier. The palace exemplifies Arab Islamic architecture featuring elements inspired by Tunisian, Andalusian and Venetian styles. The museum showcases historic musical instruments, recordings and other artifacts, and regular hosts concerts and cultural events. Honestly, when I was inside, I was really blown away by the intricate architecture. It was very beautiful and so well kept all these years. And whilst you're doing all this exploring in Sidi Boy Said, you're obviously going to be hungry, and that's where I recommend heading over to a restaurant called DAR ZARROUK. This rooftop restaurant serves delicious food with incredible views of the Mediterranean. We sat on the outside area like a garden, and honestly we loved the food. It was so delicious. Honestly, I can't fault the food in Tunisia. Nearly everywhere we went, I really loved the food. I ordered a local Tunisian dish with couscous with lamb with this tasty sauce on top, and of course the harissa sauce on the side. If you guys don't know what harissa is before going to Tunisia, it's this red kind of like pasty sauce, which is probably now become my favorite on the side sauce for every dish. Chicken, beef, lamb. It is just delicious. It's like a salsa with some spice in there. It's honestly so good. You guys will and the wife ordered some risotto dish, which was also very, and the price for the food was a little bit more expensive here. It was around 40 or 50 British pounds, but honestly we were in a very luxurious place with a stunning view over the Mediterranean if you wanted to sit inside and get that view. And also it was just a very tasty and well put together dish. Do not leave Sidi Boy Said without going to Cafe Sidi Chebane. This is probably one of my favorite places that I visited in Tunisia. Honestly, I love the vibe of this place. As you walk in, you have this incredible view of the Mediterranean with all these blue and white roofs hanging from the cliffs and people sipping away their Tunisian teas. And let me tell you something about drinking tea in Tunisia. especially this place. They like to have it with almonds inside, which is very unique, and never had it like this before, but it was a nice little touch. And you're supposed to eat the almonds first and then drink the tea. I learned that from you guys in the comments, so I'll be sure to do that next time. It's a little bit more on the pricey side, this place, because it's super touristy, and also I was saying a lot that looks like Santorini, and a lot of people in the comments have actually said that Tunisia was actually blue and white before Santorini. So Santorini apparently had to get permission from Tunisia to use those colors. So I'm not sure how accurate that is, but maybe you guys that know a little bit more about this can let me know in the comments. As the sun sets over Sidi Boy Said, the nighttime markets start to erupt and open up, which gives the whole little town even another vibe, which is so cool, because you've got a vibe in the morning, then the afternoon for sunset, and then you've got the evening, which I honestly really love. And you can't leave the area without having their street desserts. And all the local Tunisians go there especially for this. And the local dessert I'm talking about is a big fried donut called bao bologna. It was so delicious, and you can have it apparently with many different toppings like chocolate and some honey, but we had it just freshly made with sugar coating, and it was so delicious. It's this big donut which you can just stuff your face with and really enjoy. And it will probably go even better with some Tunisian tea on the side. So once you're done from the city vibes of Tunisia, then you're going to probably want to explore some of the more rural parts of the country. And that's when you start exploring places such as the amphitheatre of El Jam. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to go there, but I had to cover it in this video because it's such an important part of the country. The amphitheatre is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the best preserved Roman amphitheatres in the world. When I was looking at the pictures of this place, I honestly thought of Rome and the Colosseum there, because it has such a big similarity. So it's so unfortunate that I didn't manage to go, but I had to cover it in this video to make sure if you guys have time, get over there and go and see it. Next is another city which is called Hammamet. Now Hammamet is a really nice and charming place with a beautiful Tunisian architecture and a little bit more on the touristy side. When you get there, you'll see a lot of tourists walking around. I did a bit of shopping in there and I felt they were much more expensive than the Medina in Tunis. So just be ready to bargain. When I was there, I was bargaining with this lady for a hat and slippers for the wife, and she initially tried charging a very high price. It was like 30 something pound. Then I had to negotiate her down, which was quite a funny experience. And then whilst you're in the Medina, make sure to check out the fort area. You can have a cup of tea on the fort rooftop, which I found really nice, because you have a beautiful view over the Mediterranean Sea and the blue and white rooftops, which was really pretty. Next, I headed over to a place called Takrouna. If you're interested in learning more about the Tunisian culture and want to essentially step back into time, then head over to Takrouna. It's a Berber village perched on a hill, offering a sweeping view of the countryside, which was so stunning. It's like stepping back into time. They'll give you some Tunisian tea and some fresh bread, which is so nice of them. And you can take some pictures of the Berber style houses, which they still live in today, which I found really unique. And the people there are very nice and humble. And nowadays Takrouna only houses 2 Berber families. Next, you can head over to the abandoned Berber village with hauntingly beautiful ruins, perfect for photography, and also you can have some delicious Tunisian food with incredible views. When I was there, I had some lovely couscous, of course, with some lamb and all the vegetables that came with it, and I had this stunning view over the rural landscapes of Tunisia, and it was a very nice ending to kind of my rural trip side of Tunisia. So if you guys have time to do these things, I'd highly recommend booking these activities, because it really is a fun thing to do, to see some of the historical part of the country. And if you guys wanted to book those experiences as well, all those links will be in the description box as well. And of course, one thing that Tunisia is very important for is a very famous movie, which is Star Wars. However, a lot of people probably didn't know this, but Tunisia was used as a filming set for one of the Star Wars movies. The area is called Ksar Hadada, and again, unfortunately, I didn't manage to go there because I didn't have enough time. But again, I wanted to cover it in this video because if you guys that are visiting have the time, you need to head over there because it just looks so beautiful. You can spend a couple of days there to do a little bit of camping and eat some local Tunisian food and experience the Star Wars set and get some photos. And apparently the area around there is very beautiful to see, and the camping vibe will really give you that Berber Tunisian lifestyle and how they used to do it back then. And if you wanted to book that experience as well, again, that's in the description box below. I always keep these things in the description for you guys to book. And finally, if you wanted to stay in a resort style break, you could head back over to Hammamet, because Hammamet is actually also very well known for having your kind of 4 to 5 star resorts where you can get all-inclusive deals and spend some time there. It's perfect for a couple of nights of relaxation if you're with the kids or even a couple and just fancied a little getaway from the usual sightseeing of Tunis. We stayed in a resort. It was a nice experience and a little bit of a change from the city because as a family they had great activities to do with kids, which was always good fun. And that wraps up my ultimate guide for Tunisia. Whether you're into history, nature or culture, this country has something for everyone. Honestly, we were very pleasantly surprised by the country. We love the affordability of it, the safety, and some of the incredible food that we tasted, and of course the people and hospitality. So I'm sure for you guys that are visiting, you're going to have a great time. And just a quick note, guys, don't forget to check the description box below to get your unique discount for the renting car when you're in Tunisia, because honestly, we really love driving around and having that extra freedom. And driving in Tunisia is very pleasant if you obviously just stick to the speed limits, just like any country, and it's a very nice option to have, so you can just quickly go from city to city. It was very, very convenient for us. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all your support on the videos and watching this one today. If you liked it, please do like the video and subscribe because it honestly helps so much, and also it will help your algorithm make sure you see more videos similar to this one. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Good night wherever you're watching from, and I'll see you on the next one.